Live. We are live right now.
Okay, I'm going on to Facebook, so if I
Okay.
lose you, I'll have to come back.
Okay. See?
Well, I can still hear you.
Yeah. I know. Just that's what I was saying is when you go off
Okay,
the tab. Yeah. Go ahead and do
I'm
what you
going
gotta
to
do.
share, copy link. Now I'm going back to my personal page, and I'm going to paste this. Whoops, wrong one. This should be a good show
Yeah.
if it all goes smooth.
Oh, you got about.
And like I said, it shouldn't go much more than an hour.
Okay. And then you get to get a free taco.
Yeah, I get a free taco. Dean, we're going to talk. I'm going to ask you about this on the show, bro. I know you're such a big proponent of, Orlando and wishing that more people used Orlando, AB people, and all that stuff. I just tell you, bro, you would fit in out here big time, man. Okay, I'm posting, but we'll talk about it on the show. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, yep, we are now live on my Facebook. Let me go back to the stream. Okay, can you see me and hear me?
Yeah. I can see you.
Okay, all right,
And I
bro.
hear you.
All right, so let me get to the spot. And,
Okay. About 30 seconds.
So can you go to a full screen, or do we got to stay on the timer?
Well, I was going to do the
I just kind
timer
of want to.
up
Well, I
until.
want to see if I'm standing in a good spot. I can't see
Oh.
what's behind me.
All right.
And it
Well,
looks like we're
I'll
about
put
to
you
start.
there.
Oh, no, this is good. Okay, go ahead with the timer because we're about to go live, right? I just want to make sure I was in a good spot.
Right.
All right, here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. By the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it.
What's up? It's your boy Lamar Odom with Glenn Victor.
You, man.
Podcast, the Damn Me Podcast, #1 podcast.
Oh, you rock. Thanks, bro. Hey, everyone. Peace. It's your old pal Glenn Victor coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. We are just north of downtown on Wilshire Boulevard along what's called the Miracle Mile area, if you know, just north of LA, downtown. But we are in LA right now and outside of the Rey Theater, where I am about to go to a show tonight. I am so excited, y'all. So anyway, I'm going to go have a seat over here in front of this place, which is called the El Cartel Cafe and Diner. They serve street tacos, and the guy in there is really cool. We were just talking to him, and he told me if I mentioned this place, he'll give me a free taco when I finish the podcast. So anyway, y'all, I am right outside of the El Rey, and you can see there's the entrance. I'm going to a show tonight. The band is like warming up right now. And we're going to talk about that in a second, y'all. But right now, let's bring in our co-host and producer from Orlando, Florida, live at the Post Effects Digital Studios. It's our old pal, Dean Baker. What's happening, Dean?
Well, Glenn, it was a rough start. We had an accidental live webcast an hour ago, and
Hey, it's all good, man.
and you know we're on there. We're looking kind of like shit's going wrong. Can't get
Yeah,
a camera working, and there's still people watching. I was
but
looking
you
up
know
and said,
what?
"Oh, there's like 2 people watching."
Bro, but it's all good. Like we always say, anything can happen live. And in addition to being live tonight, we're doing a remote show from here in LA live. And, it just adds to the excitement of the show. So, but I think
Yeah.
we got a good show lined up. We're probably only going to go about an hour tonight because we are live literally on the streets of LA here in the Wilshire Miracle Mile. That's hard to say. The Wilshire Miracle Mile area. This is kind of a artsy fartsy area of LA. Real nice area though.
Is it near the tar pits?
I don't know where the tar pits are, bro.
Oh, I thought the
really
tar pits are out near Wilshire, but that's a really long road, so you could still be miles away.
It very well may be. Dean, you and I were talking right before we went on the air, and I was saying, bro, that, you've always been very vocal about how a lot of production companies or, just agencies that do advertising and shit in Orlando will use out of town video production, AV companies and shit, instead of using companies like yours that are right there in Orlando. And it just occurred to me today, let's face it, this is LA, man, city of entertainment and all that shit. And I was just curious, bro, have you ever thought about coming out here and posting up, Dean? Because man, I'll tell you what, you'd make a killing out here with your business, bro. But are you staying in Orlando, or have you ever thought about coming out here?
Okay, so probably posts you've seen, if you've seen any of my posts on mostly LinkedIn. I network with a lot of LA producers, filmmakers, VODs. That's like Netflix and Amazon stuff like that. So when I post, I'm really pro Orlando, pro Florida, because there's talent here, and it's not about productions, AV gigs. Anybody comes into Orlando because Orlando is a big destination, and people bring their own stuff. That really never bothered me because I've never really gone after that kind of business and work. But I will say that when it comes to some of the things I'm working on now, like independent films and television shows, I hate, fuck it. Hollywood's got their thumb over the world when it comes to that. Hollywood has their thumb, and it's hard to breathe with Hollywood's thumb up your ass,
I didn't mean to get you all riled up, bro.
No,
but I know
you know what? It's fun. Funny thing is, we're going. This show is going live on LinkedIn right now to all the people that I try and market to. So if they were watching it, and you never know, some might, in perpetuity. But I will say that I'm never really dogging Hollywood. I don't think so. I think, they're really great when Sylvester Stallone wants to do a part 5, part 6, part 7, that's really original content. And when Marvel's on their umpteenth film and of the same genre, the same storyline, and all these others, Hollywood has turned into such a sequel business, because if it's sold once, it might sold 15 more times with a little bit different script. But
I was just curious if you ever thought about posting up out here and bringing your business out here. Maybe
not really.
Yeah, I think you love Orlando. Yep.
I do love Orlando. I love Florida. I had thought about it in my younger years, and to go to LA, but you know what? It's like getting in traffic in LA.
It ain't that bad if you know. One thing I've learned about living in California with traffic is you got to time your trips, bro. You really do learn to time them around. But anyway, Gene, moving on. I didn't mean to get y'all riled up, but I had to ask you about that, man, because, like what you just said, bro. I was talking to somebody last night, and they were like, God damn, Glenn, you living the dream, ain't you? And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, man, you're an entertainer. You're going live from L.A. tomorrow. And I hadn't even really thought of it that way, but I guess in a way it's true. Here I am live in Los Angeles, California, doing a podcast. I don't really think of it as being an entertainer. I like thinking of it as more we're doing a service with this podcast. But fact of the matter is, man, what you just said, I thought about that earlier today. Like when I was a younger man, I could have very well made a go of it out here in LA. And I often had thought about if I ever moved to California, I would move to Southern Cali. And now I live in Northern Cali in the SAC area. For those that follow us, and I'm just falling in love with that area. There's a saying I picked up on in the SAC in Northern Cali area that once you move there, it kind of grows on you. You fall in love, and then you're hooked for life. And that's kind of how I feel. But I do
I've
like
been
the
to
vibe
Northern
here.
California a few times. I've been to San Francisco a few times. The last time I was in San Fran, there was an earthquake. I actually got to experience an earthquake the one time,
Had a couple rumbles since I've been living there, but nothing to speak of, But anyway... it's just definitely a cool vibe here in LA, and I just thought we'd talk about it for a minute. But let's move on, y'all, because I want to get ready for this show I'm going to tonight. And Dean, I appreciate your input on all that, bro. So hey, I gotta say, if you notice, check out my shirt. I am wearing my Benny T-shirt, and if you're a regular follower of our podcast or my social media, you know that I'm a huge fan of Benny. She's that girl out of New Zealand, Auckland, and I've gotten to meet her a couple times. She's been so cool and so nice to me. We show pictures on the podcast of me and her together all the time. Well, she turned me on to this dude who she signed to her record label. She has a record label called Olive Records, and she signed this dude, Maroki, who I started following and love his stuff. Highly encourage you to check him out. And he has done some collabs with the group I'm going to see in here tonight, Leisure, the Leisure Band, also out of Auckland. And so, man, I just, I decided to come to this show tonight. And I had to represent New Zealand with my Benny shirt. So anyway, with all that said, Dean, let's bring up the slides, bro. I got some slides that I put together. Are you still with me there, Dean? I think I might have lost connection with Dean, y'all. Well, I'm not hearing him, but he's apparently hearing me because, there, he's back now. Can you hear me, Dean? Like I said, y'all, anything can happen live. We lost you for a second, Dean.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't hear you. Okay. Well, anyways, y'all, we thought we'd show this pic here, this map. That is where I'm at right now, that little blue dot. Like I said, I'm just north of L.A. They kind of call it the Mid-City area, but this is also known as Wilshire Miracle Mile area. Like I said, it's kind of the artsy part of L.A., a little bit north of downtown. So let's go on to the next slide, y'all. This is... some pics that I took when I pulled up today, right outside of where I'm actually sitting right now. This is the Rey Theater, and you can see Leisure is up on the marquee, y'all. And again, going to the next slide, I have no control over the slides today, y'all, because we're remote, so I got to tell Dean when to go. This is the group I'm going to see. They had a show here last night, but it sold out, y'all, so they booked a second show. And then they're headed to San Fran, but that show sold out too. So I just thought, hey, I was down here for a couple of conferences I attended that we're going to talk about in a second. So I figured, hey, I might as well see them while I'm here in LA. Can't encourage you enough to go check out, again, the Leisure Band, y'all. So we're going to talk more about them in just a little bit. But I wanted to take just a minute, y'all, to talk about the purpose of this podcast. We haven't even really talked about that yet, and I like to do that a little bit each show, y'all. This is what we call the Dare Me podcast. And if you're a new viewer, new listener to our podcast, maybe you see we're live, because we're live right now on half dozen Facebook pages, half dozen YouTubes. We're live on LinkedIn, we're live on X, we're live on Threads, all the things. And you clicked on it like, what the hell is this Dare Me podcast? What is this all about? Well, that name Dare Me is, kind of dare me to do this podcast for the reasons that Dean just put across the top of the page, all those hashtags. We talk about drugs, addiction, recovery, enlightenment, music, and exercise. Because I had a personal struggle with addiction, y'all. I got hooked on opiate pain medication when I broke my ankle, but I had a long struggle with addiction before that. And we're into episode 33 of this podcast, and I tell my story in great detail on other episodes, y'all. So you can go back and watch all those, and we'll certainly talk about it more as we go along. But for the sake of today's show, just want to do that very brief introduction. We talk a lot about, finding peace through enlightenment so you don't get a case of the buckets and go use if you're trying to stay clean or get clean. We talk about the value of music and how it's been so instrumental in my journey of getting, living, and staying clean, and also fitness, because when you get hooked on, opiates or any other drugs, y'all, it truly is a sickness that is mental, physical, and spiritual. So anyway, with all that said, y'all, that's what we're doing here with this podcast. And I attended, as I mentioned, a couple of conferences while I'm here in LA. My hair is flapping all in the wind, y'all. The Santa Ana winds are blowing through here right now, just so you know. They've been talking about it all on the news. So, but anyway, I attended a couple of conferences. Let's go to that next slide, Dean. One of the conferences that I attended was one that's called, there's the band I'm going to see tonight. So the next slide should be one of me at, actually, before we go to that, I'm sorry, y'all. Anything happened live? I forgot we had these slides. These are some views of the Rey Theater inside. This is where I'm going tonight, and I thought I'd just show these. I think we have maybe one, maybe two more. Just go ahead, clicking, Dean. Yup. And then I think the next one is about the CCAPP conference. But anyway, that's where I'm going to be tonight, inside the Rey there, y'all. Go to the next slide, Dean. I think there might be a slight delay. Oh, fuck, I keep forgetting about this, man. We wanted to take just a little bit of time to talk about the passing of Matthew Perry. It's so sad. In case you didn't know, and you're watching live, that Matthew Perry passed away last night. And part of the reason we wanted to talk about that is Matthew Perry was very open about his struggles with addiction. And he actually wrote a book, The Big Terrible Thing. And he was doing a book tour in the spring talking about how he wanted to use his platform as being a famous actor, of course, on the show Friends and other stuff he did, and talked about his terrible opiate addiction. We actually tried to reach out to him and get through to him to see if we could get him to be a guest on the Dare Me podcast, but to no avail. We didn't hear back. And sure enough, man, it was kind of weird how it happened. I'm at this huge, as far as me finding out, I'm at this huge banquet at this Southern California NA convention with literally a few thousand people celebrating our recovery. And I got a notice on my phone that he had passed away. Now, right now, they're just saying that he drowned. He was found in his hot tub at his home here in LA, not far from where I'm at. There's already, skepticism, people wondering about, did he relapse? Did he OD, fall asleep in the water of his hot tub and drown, kind of a la Whitney Houston, that type of thing. The authorities said they didn't find any drugs at the scene, no signs of foul play. And early speculation is he had a heart attack, cardiac arrest, and drowned. I'm sure they're going to do an autopsy, and we'll hear more. I don't want to, jump the gun and say that he relapsed and OD'd and fell asleep in the hot tub. But yeah, there's people kind of wondering about that. But we did want to say R.I.P. to that boy Matthew Perry and thank his spirit for recovering out loud, before he passed away, just like what we're doing with this podcast, recovering out loud, talking about addiction and recovery and openly trying to address this and getting away from that fucking stigma, for people who are, addicted and so worried about coming out, about their addiction and trying to get help, so worried about, oh God, what are people going to think and all that shit. Fuck the stigma. And that's what Matthew Perry was saying before he passed away when he was recovering out loud. So we wanted to take just a little bit of time to, talk about the passing of Matthew Perry and of course wish all the best to his family and friends. It's so sad, but so yeah, that's that, y'all. And it was really kind of bizarre that he passed away while I'm in town for these conferences having to do with addiction. So let's go to the next slide, Dean, and we'll talk about this conference. The first one I went to was the 10th annual California Consortium of Addiction Programs and Professionals. And you can see there I am. This was held at the Newport Beach Hyatt Regency. And it was very cool. I didn't attend the whole thing, y'all. I was there for part of the day Friday and part of the day Saturday. And I got to meet that boy Lamar Odom, by the way, who did a shout out for us at the beginning of the podcast. And we're going to show some video with him in just a second and some more pics. But the first day I was there, I did a little bit of a walk through the exhibit area. And I thought we'd show a little bit about that event. So, Dean, if you want to play that first video of me doing a walkthrough in the exhibit area at the CCAPP conference, let's go ahead and play that right now. All right, y'all, we out here at the California Addiction Conference, and you can see there's all kinds of vendors out here, if you will. Definitely an event for the treatment center industry, if you will. Rehabs. It's not real crowded in the exhibit area right now because a lot of people are having lunch or in the conference hall. But nonetheless, you can see there's definitely a lot of tables, a lot of booths, the reception area over there. Kind of a cool exhibit area with lots of good information about the different services and whatnot that a lot of these agencies provide. I'm going to go into the conference hall right now, just kind of give y'all a little peek at that. Here we go. You can see it's a little more crowded down there, but yeah. So this is where the exhibits taking place, y'all. AV table here. But lots of good presenters, presentations. It's a packed house. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, we out here. Peace. All right, so there you go, y'all. That gives you a pretty good idea of, what the conference was all about. And, a little bit later in the day there on Friday, I did actually talk and interview a guy at one of the booths there. This really cool guy, Ron Black. Shout out, Ron. I know you'll get a chance to see this. And, for anybody that, may be thinking about trying to work in the addiction field, help people to get clean, become maybe an addictions counselor. A lot of people who get clean and live clean and, are in recovery for extended periods of time, do end up working in that field and want to help others. Sometimes it takes a real one to know one. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's watch our little interview with Ron Black, and then we're going to talk about that boy Lamar Odom. Dean, if you will, let's go ahead and play that.
Hey everyone, we're here at the California Consortium of Addiction Professionals Conference, and we're here in the exhibit area, and right now we're meeting with my friend Ron Black at the Addictions Training Institute booth. Ron, thanks so much for agreeing to talk with us.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your agency and what you guys do.
Okay, so what we do is that we train people to become drug and alcohol counselors. So we provide the 270 hours of curriculum that are needed for people to take the education they need. When they pass it, then they can take the exam in 45 different states and become a drug and alcohol counselor.
How cool is that? So tell us a little bit about the conference and all. And you're here from Fort Lauderdale. Of course, if you're a regular viewer, listener to our podcast, I lived in Florida for 30 years, so it was so cool bumping into somebody else from Florida. Ron, tell us about your connection with this conference. You came all the way out here from Florida.
Well, we're a nationwide company. Like I said, we provide services in 45 states, but CCAPP is a big we're gonna have to cut that a little, but the conference is very important to us. We get to meet with drug and alcohol counselors and people who want to be drug and alcohol counselors out here.
Yeah, it's a great conference, y'all, and what a great agency. Again, y'all, it's the Addictions Training Institute here at the California Consortium of Addictions Programs Conference.
So there you go, y'all. Yeah, pretty cool, what services they provide. And we want to thank Ron Black again for doing that interview with us, y'all. And the next day that I went there, the keynote speaker was the NBA and Los Angeles Laker basketball legend, Lamar Odom. Let's go ahead and show that slide, Dean, because Lamar was so cool to us, y'all. And you can see there, they had a promo picture there on the left of him. And then I got to meet him and get a picture with him there on the right. And
Glenn, hey Glenn,
yeah.
were you sitting down?
Boom. The dude is like almost 7 feet tall, bro. I'm like 5'7",
Yeah, he definitely has a foot and a half on you there.
Yeah. I'm like Bugsy Malone, He's like 5'7". He was a famous ball player. But anyway, that was a good one, Dean. But Lamar, if you're not a big basketball or sports fan, but the name sounds familiar and you're wondering who he is, let's go to the next slide, Dean, because he was married to Khloe Kardashian. And, a lot of people know the Kardashians. They did that reality show. And Lamar and Khloe actually had their own reality show for a while called Khloe and Lamar. And, of course, oh, God, she's so beautiful. Look at her there. And then, of course, there's Lamar in his Lakers uniform when he played with the Lakers. And, they're not married anymore, but as part of his presentation, he talked about apparently they are still friends and all. And so in any case, y'all, Lamar Odom is in recovery. That's why he spoke as the keynote speaker at this event. He had a horrible struggle with addiction. He became addicted to cocaine, and he had been suspended in the league with for using pot and other stuff, and this is all stuff he talks about openly. And he lives clean and sober now, and he's actually opened a whole network of drug treatment centers, rehab centers that are legit. And he even talked about how, some of them, man, you got to really be careful. If you think about going into drug rehab, make sure you're getting into a legit agency. He talked about how he's not a big fan of being involved in the business side of it, but, you kind of have to when your name's attached to it. He just likes to get out there and speak and give back. And he suffered a horrible overdose, y'all, where he actually went into cardiac arrest. at there was a place in Las Vegas he was at, we'll just say, and he went into a coma. And he suffered, hard cardiac arrest, stroke, all that stuff. But he came out of it, y'all. He came out of it, and he got clean and decided to devote his life to trying to help others struggling with addiction, and lives clean now. And oh my God, what a great guy. It was so fun to meet him and so cool to talk with him. And then I told him about the podcast, and he just thought it was awesome that we're giving back doing this podcast, and did the shout out for us and all. So anyway, y'all, I got just a couple short clips from his presentation. The first one, he talks a little bit about his journey with, addiction and living clean. And then the second one, I just thought it'd be cool to show a little clip of, he talks about his friendship with Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace. So, Dean, let's go ahead and play that first video of Lamar Odom at the CCAPP conference.
I've learned that recovery is not just abstaining from drugs, it's also about rebuilding one's life, healing the wounds, and finding a purpose beyond addiction. It's about rediscovering the person you were meant to be. My journey towards recovery inspired me to start the Odom Recovery Group. This organization is a symbol of my commitment to helping others on their path to sobriety. We aim to save lives and provide the support and resources necessary for those struggling with addiction to find hope and healing.
Like I said, y'all, he gave a very powerful presentation. And if you couldn't tell in that video, he got filled up quite a bit, several times throughout his presentation. He's a very emotional guy. And it kind of made me feel good, because I get filled up and emotional on this podcast all the time. A lot of people call me a fucking crier, But hey, man, it was nice to see such a fucking athletic, rough and tough guy. Dean, you were razzing me about how much bigger he is than me. And there he is getting emotional and showing his sensitive side when it comes to this topic. Because let's face it, y'all, at the end of the day, it's all about saving lives, people fucking dying out there. And he talked about how he's lost, people close to him in his life to addiction. So, and then of course he lost one of his best friends, Kobe Bryant, in that horrible plane crash. So let's talk or hear him talking about Kobe a little bit in this next video. Go ahead and play that one, Dean.
The day we lost Kobe will forever be etched in my memory. I remember hearing the news and I felt like the world had come to a screeching halt. I couldn't believe that he was gone. It was a profound shock, a pain that ran deep, and it was shared by millions around the world. And that's how I know I'm really healed, because when he passed away, I thought that I had an excuse to get out. In the midst of my grief, I found solace in the memories that we had created together. I remember his infectious laughter, his unrelenting drive, and his ability to uplift those around him. Kobe's legacy was not just about basketball. It was about being the best version of yourself and encouraging others to do the same. That's what we call the Mamba mentality. In closing, I want my story to serve as a reminder that no matter how far we fall, it's never too late to rise again.
Say that, Lamar. What a great guy, Dean. He really was cool, and it was so nice to meet him, shout out Lamar. I hope you get to see this, bro, because of course we're gonna, send this to him and hope to maybe even have Lamar as a guest on the podcast at some point. And y'all know I couldn't resist. We gotta play that shout out one more time. It's just a short video, Dean, if you would. Let's play that shout out that Lamar gave to us here on the Dare Me podcast. All our viewers and listeners, check it out.
What's up? It's your boy Lamar Odom with Glenn Victor. Podcast, the Dare Me podcast, #1 podcast.
Oh, you rock. Thanks, bro. There you go, Lamar Odom. And by the way, Dean, if you got that other pic, we posted that just a couple days ago. And check this out, y'all. We have over 2,000 hits on that short little video on our Dare Me podcast YouTube channel. Look at that, 2.2 thousand views the last time we checked, and we picked up quite a few extra subscribers to our channel. Since we posted that shout out. So thank you again so much, Lamar. And for anybody else who may be watching, if you haven't subscribed to the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel yet, we'd really appreciate it if you do. And that's not self-serving. That's because it helps our channel to come up in the algorithms if anybody's searching for information on how to get through opiate withdrawals, how to kick opiates, how to, get through addiction and try to get started in recovery. So the more subscribers we have and the more likes and all that shit, the algorithms think it's more relevant, we come up. So again, thank you to Lamar for the shout out and getting us all those hits and extra subscribers to the Dare Me Podcast YouTube channel. So anyway, y'all, that was a great event. And then I was kind of bouncing back and forth from the CCAPP conference to another great event, the Southern California Regional Convention of Narcotics Anonymous. And Dean, if you want to show that next photo, this is kind of cool.
SCRNCNA, that's quite a...
They call it SCRCNA. Southern California Regional Convention of Narcotics Anonymous. And I just got to put my disclaimer out there, y'all. Whenever I talk about these 12-step programs, NAAA, fucking A, whatever you want to call it, I am no representative, y'all. I ain't claiming to be, ain't trying to break no traditions or whatever, but I sure to fucking talk about them because I'm an NA guy and I have been since, I was a young man, going back to 1986, for God's sakes. I've been NA guy, and it saved my life, not once, not twice, 3 fucking times. So, if I don't talk about the program, how the hell people going to know about it who may be trying to find help to get through addiction and find recovery if they don't know about it, So certainly I can talk about it. And you see, there I am at the banner, and then I registered and got all this stuff I thought I'd show. I was talking about sponsor Shay. What up, Shay? If you see this, she was watching my social media posts and was like, damn, man, they gave you the hookup with that registration. You got the nice glossy tickets. I went to the bingo and the comedy show, which was hilarious, and the banquet, and they give you the lanyard and all the things, So we really had a good time with all that stuff, y'all, that was going on there. And there were literally a few thousand people. Dean, if you want to show the next slide. And, I was careful, y'all, with these pictures. I can put my anonymity out there and recover out loud, but I do respect other people's anonymity, as they say, at these type of events. Because, there is still that stigma out there. Not everybody wants to recover out loud. So I was careful with these pics, make sure there's nobody's face in them. But you can see this was the Friday night main speaker meeting, and it was fucking packed, man. It was so crowded. And, then the Saturday night main speaker, that is cool as hell, y'all. For those in recovery, they do a roll call of, all the U.S. states. Then they do the areas for whatever state. Of course, it's California here, so they called out all the different areas. And this next pick, y'all, these were the people that I sat with, and I cleared this with them. They were all fine with me, getting this picture and posting it on social media. And you can see that one on the right. That's me there pointing up at the banner. By the way, it's not one finger because I have 1 year clean. I have 2 years, a little over 2.5 years, actually. I was just pointing up at the banner. But let me tell you this, Dean, about that table. It was so fucking cool because I was there dolo, and I'm looking around for a place to sit, and it's like, man, I just feel like I'm fucking led to certain places sometimes in my life. I see this single seat, so I go up and ask the people, hey man, is this seat open? And they were like, not anymore, it's got your name on it, bro, sit down. And I just met the coolest people. And the guy on my right there, his name's Bobby, has 45 years clean. Fucking shout out, Bobby. So nice to me. He's been involved in that area for years. Man, people were coming up to him all night saying hi, giving him a hug. I felt like I was sitting next to NA royalty and VIP. And then if you look at the young girl across the table, she had 14 days clean. Shout out Ty. Her name's Ty. And again, I just want to clarify, y'all, that all these people were fine with me getting this pick. And I asked them all if I could put this on social media. They were fine with it. So, again, I try to be respectful of people's anonymity at any kind of 12-step event. And I just got to say, man, I had so much fun, y'all. And then when they do the clean time countdown, now, if you ever been to NA convention, man, people stand up, start shouting, keep coming back, which I got some audio of, Dean, but I didn't have time to load it this week. We'll maybe show it next week. I got audio of how loud it gets in there, of people yelling, keep coming back when you start getting down to like a week clean, 6 days, 5 days, 3, 2, all the way down to 1 day, and they start at like fucking 60 years and just do the countdown. So yeah, yours truly, y'all, I got to stand up for 2 years. Let's see, it'll be 2 years, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I have 2 years and 8 months on November 11th, man. Well, I didn't mention that earlier when I talked about, my story and my journey with doing this podcast and my struggles with addiction. But yeah, y'all, if you're watching, I have almost 2 years and 8 months clean again. And, oh, God, I'm so grateful for it. But I had so much fun at this event, y'all. It truly was a fantastic event. Like I said, I was kind of bouncing back and forth from the CCAPP event where I got to meet Lamar and the NA event, and we just had so much fun, y'all. So my trip here to LA and Southern Cal has been a ball, and it is about to get even better, y'all, because I'm about to go right inside. I'm going to get up here now and go inside of the Rey Theater to see those boys from New Zealand, the Leisure Band. And let's talk about them for a second, y'all. Let's show that next slide, Dean. Like I said earlier, y'all, I got turned on to these guys through that girl, Benny, that I love so much out of New Zealand. I've been to her show a couple of times, got to meet her. She's so nice to me, man. We follow each other on social media and shit. And anyway, she has a label called Olive Records, and she signed this guy, Muroki, and I love his stuff. And his name is spelled Muroki. Can't encourage you enough to go check him out. Well, he did a collab with Leisure Band, who is also out of New Zealand, and that's how I got turned on to their music. They've been around since like 2015, and you can see the group there. Probably the most well-known guy in the group is a guy named Josh Fountain, because they all do like their own solo stuff. Kind of like that band Rare Hearted that we spotlighted on the podcast several weeks ago when we were live in Detroit, and we got to interview the guys from Rare Hearted. Shout out to Rare Hearted, Keon, Bang, and all the guys. We love y'all. Yeah, these guys, Leisure remind me of them a little bit. And like I said, they all kind of do solo stuff, just like those guys from Rare Hearted, but then they come together and play as a group. So next slide, I'm going to turn y'all on to a little bit of a playlist. If you really want to check them out, these are all my favorite songs from them, which, by the way, I looked at their set list. You can look at, set lists online, and they do all these. They played them all here last night. So my favorite, which I'm totally fucking obsessed with right now, is the one right at the top of the list there called Back in Love. Oh my God, I just can't encourage y'all enough to go check them out, man. They really are great. And like I said earlier in the podcast, y'all, if you know my story, you follow our podcast, you follow me on social media, I'm such a huge music guy. I made a living at it for, over 30 years of my life as a DJ. I used to play music on the radio. I had mobile DJ businesses, worked in bars and clubs just like this, you know what I mean? And now I actually work producing music and singing and auto-tune and Pro Tools and all the things, In fact, speaking of Rare-Hearted, that boy Bang, he helped teach me, man. And I'm so grateful to them because it has been such a huge part of my recovery and music therapy, y'all. There's really some deep dive studies on that shit about how it gets the dopamine flowing, the endorphins, all that stuff. So with all that said, y'all, we're going to bring this show full circle and wrap it up so I can get ready to go inside the El Rey and check out this concert, y'all. If you are a person who came across our podcast, maybe you're watching, listening for the very first time, because even though we're into episode 33, we hear from people all the time, like every week, people who come across our podcast for the very first time reach out to us with questions, thanking us for what we're doing. Shout out to that boy, Chris Soldini. He's going to be on the podcast. He sent us a really nice message last week. Appreciate you, Chris. He agreed to be a guest on. He's a music artist too, man. You're going to love his stuff when we talk to him. But anyway, y'all, like I said, we get people that tune in for the very first time every week. And so if you're a person that's struggling with addiction and you came across our stuff by Googling, how to get clean, how to kick opiates, or, maybe on YouTube, looking for information like I was on how to live and stay clean, man, and you came across our stuff. We hope that we, provided you with some good content tonight, some inspiration. That's the whole purpose. We're trying to inspire people, help you with good information that maybe you can use in your journey to live and stay clean. And one of them things is music, man. It helped me when I was kicking them opiates, bro, man. I had my fucking ear pods on, listening to music all the time. Made a huge difference. It really, really does. Music therapy is real. And so anyway, I'm about to go in and get some music therapy tonight. And damn well I'll be talking about this show on the podcast next week, y'all. Hopefully have a couple short video clips. I'll give you a review of it all and that. So anyway, with all that said, Dean, thank you so much for holding it down. There's that boy Dean live from Orlando, Florida in the Post Effects Digital Studios. And again, I'm coming to you live from the streets of Los Angeles, California, right outside the El Rey, the historic El Rey Theater. By the way, I meant to mention earlier, Dean, this theater has been around since 1936. Huge names have played here like Bob Dylan. Everybody from Bob Dylan to Erykah Badu and every kind of group and artist you could imagine in between. Recently, Chris Stapleton played here, all kinds of others. Yeah, it's got a rich history, and it's a smaller venue, as you can tell. I mean, it's just really cool. I'm looking forward to going inside. But anyway, Dean, really appreciate everything you did for the show tonight. Again, with me being remote, I wasn't able to click through any of the slides or the videos. I know it's a little more work for Dean when we load them things from the road. So I appreciate everything you did tonight, Dean. I thought we had a pretty good show. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty good show.
Yeah, I didn't mean
I get to go to bed early tonight.
Yeah, we wrapped it up in less than an hour, 45 minutes. Usually we go 2.5 hours, but and I was going to say, Dean, I didn't mean to get you on a rant at the beginning of the show about, Hollywood versus Orlando, but, I just think you would love it out here, bro, and you would prosper big time. You're, such a pro, man, and, that's what LA is all about, is the kind of shit you're doing there in Orlando, man. And
well, we're trying to that's what Orlando's all about,
Yeah, and, exactly. Well,
And,
back in the day when I first moved to Orlando back in 91, 92, and then even through the 90s, man, they used to say Orlando was going to become Hollywood East, and it
that
just
was very
never
short-lived,
quite,
yes.
it never quite transpired that way,
Well,
and I agree with you. It sucks when different companies, like even some of the auto dealers, man, and they do these ads and they use these out-of-town production companies, and it's like, what the fuck? You guys like Digital Post Effects and Dean right in your own backyard, and it's like they use fucking companies out here in LA. I love LA and Hollywood and all that, but man, I'd like to see the Orlando production companies like yours, Dean, get more of the work right there in Central Florida. So, like I said, I didn't mean to get you on a rant and get you all fired up there, but I kind of know how you feel about it. And, I just can't thank you again for the professional work you do for us here on the podcast, bro.
No problem.
All right. Well, with all that said, y'all, hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to call it a night. As we often say, y'all, if you're struggling with addiction and you're trying to get clean like I was, and you're going through hell right now, I get it, man. Kicking them opiates was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life. But guess what? I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it. So like I said, man, if we often say at the end of the show, if you're going through hell, keep fucking going. You will come out the other side of it. Hope y'all enjoyed the program. I'm going to go now, y'all. Have a great night. Be safe. We'll talk to you next week. Dean, anything you want to add before we call it a night, bro?
Have a good show.
Okay, man, I will. And I'll give you the review next week, y'all. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the Dare Me podcast. Peace.